So David, a 1-0 defeat to Wythenshawe Football Club today. I guess before the game it felt like quite a big game today, so in terms of where everyone is in the league. After the game, there's not that much change in terms of, I think everyone, apart from Wythenshawe below us, has lost, and I think Wythenshawe Town drew. How disappointing is the result, and how do you sort of look at it now, having seen the results from today as well?
The result's massively disappointing. I think we're bottom of the form table in terms of home form. I think we've been terrible at home. I said to the players after the game, teams come here now, and it's not Seal Park's fortress. They come here thinking we're not going to get broken down. If we can go and nick a goal, we'll win this 1-0, because we don't really break teams down. We don't particularly put them under a lot of pressure. We don't put lots of balls in the box. We don't force errors, and it's massively disappointing. I thought the performance was genuinely overall poor. I thought some of our quality was poor. I thought some of our decision making was really bad. We had a number of opportunities first half, and it was probably to counter and to create something. And that pass before the chance was terrible. I think 3 or 4 times under little pressure, kicked the ball out into touch. We then had 2 huge chances before the break. Teddy didn't quite catch his. Keeper made a decent save. Keeper made a good save from Obbs. Second half, I thought we started okay for 4 or 5 minutes. They came back into it, and it got scrappy again. Massive chance from Brewster, hit the bar, and 3 minutes later, just switched off. Matt lost his man, and he scored. And we've done that too many times, both ends. And then when Jack, I thought we did everything right until the finish. But we shouldn't have been. I don't think we should have been in a home game without disrespecting Wythenshawe. I don't think if we've got any ambition, we should be looking to our right back to try and salvage us a point. So I just don't think enough players turned up. We wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck and be a match winner.
Is there something this season about? It sounds a bit superstitious, I suppose, but we've always prided ourselves on we shoot uphill in the first half, come downhill in the second half, and I guess the form table that you talk about at home has been poor, but we always seem to be creating lots of chances, but everyone seems to be nicking one as they're shooting uphill, and we just can't seem to score in the first half or get enough to see us in a good position at the moment. Is there something there, or is it just we're not creating enough at all?
I could try and look for all sorts, and black cats, ladders, witches cursing, I don't know. I think the reality is it's quality at key moments. It's, if you look at the opportunities we had, it was poor finishing. The reality is the keeper made a decent save off Obbs. I'm not sure he could have done much more. I think the other 3 is poor finishing. The ball's not going into the box, poor decision making, not crossing when players could have done. When we did cross, not good enough quality, players not working hard enough to get on the end of it, or not showing enough desire to get on the end of it. That's not superstition. That's not whether you're going up or downhill. That's, do you really want to go and be a match winner? That's mentality. And I think that's the biggest, probably the biggest issue is a mentality issue. And we've talked a lot about young squad, and I think there's an element of that to it. But it's a young squad of talented footballers who want to go and carve careers at the NPL and higher, and they need to have tougher mentalities. I mentioned Simo. One of the biggest things I noticed about Bailey coming back from his injury is how his mentality changed, how seriously he took his football, how he wanted to go and make something happen every time he crossed the white line. And that's the difference. If you look at Devon, if you look at Freddie Sass, if you look at Bailey, if you look at those players who've gone on and are having a good career higher and going into the full-time game, mentality was a key thing with all of them. The lads we've got here are talented, they're good lads, but they need to grow up. Alex said it in the post-match team talk. They need to grow up. If they want to kick on, they need to grow up.
My next question, you kind of answered it there, I suppose, but I guess maybe the question really was around Bailey, and obviously since he's been out, he was there at Nantwich, and we were very good, and we relied quite heavily on him in there. Are we missing his presence, or did we rely on him too much?
He's probably the best midfielder in our league. Yeah. He's moved 2 leagues high to go full time. Are you going to miss him? Yeah, of course you're going to miss him. In the same way that you miss Reece Webb-Foster, because he's been injured most of the season. He's a very, very good number 9, and we can't score goals. Players who are coming in are good players, but they're not them. So you're always going to miss players of that quality. And we haven't got the luxury of knocking on the door of a side who are in our level and saying, can I take one of your top players, and we'll give you 50 quid more, 100 quid more a week, and there are teams you see in the league below who've been able to do that with some of our players, and you've seen teams in the league below who recruitment strategy is which players are scoring lots of goals in our rivals. Let's go and sign all them, so we've got them, and they can't win games for them, so we'll win the league. So it's helpful if you can do that. That's not where we are. So we've got to really work with what we've got, and actually the work we need to do isn't about tactics. I asked him before the game in the sponsors lounge, how much is tactics, how much is motivation, and I said actually most of it now is managing people, and I think that's the work we need to do. It's about managing the individuals. It's about helping them in terms of mentality. It's about them understanding more around what the clubs see when they come play against us, and I think we still have problems. The results went our way today, but we shouldn't be relying on that. We've got to go and look after our own fixtures, and we need to win next week. That will probably see us safe, but we need to go and win, and we need to be much better than we were today to do that.
I was just going to say, how much of a massive game does that become down on Saturday, with Kidsgrove being in the position that they are, and it is a classic 6 pointer, I suppose.
Yeah, it's huge because a win really opens up a big gap between us and them. Losing to them does the exact opposite. It puts them on our heels, and if other results don't go our way, we very, very realistically being dragged into that dogfight. With then a hell of a run of fixtures coming in with Widnes, Bootle, Hendersford, Staley Bridge. They're not easy fixtures to be going into. So we don't want to be going into them having to scrap for our lives. So Saturday is massive. I mean, every game is massive. We've been saying this for the last few months, but because we've been poor, because we haven't got the results we needed to get, it's putting more and more pressure and more emphasis on every game that we've come in. And now Kidsgrove is the biggest game of the season. And
it's never an easy place to go for us either, to be fair.
No, the only saving grace is that Pope and Reed got sent off today, so that makes it a slightly easier place to go. But I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult ground to go to. They're a side who will really put it on you and ask a lot from in terms of mentality. Exactly the things we've been talking about. So if ever we're going to grow up, if ever players are going to grow up, if ever they're going to show that desire and that commitment that we want them to consistently, then Kidsgrove is a good place to start.
We spoke about it before, I suppose, but is it a bit strange? We're 11th, 12th in the league, and we're talking about 6 pointers with 7 games left. Is it just show the strength of the league this season and the competitiveness to see that anyone could get sucked in from the bottom half of the table? Yeah,
it's interesting if you look at the league now, because I think it has opened up a little bit. I think if you look at the playoffs, I think that's done. I'd be amazed if anybody can break into the playoffs. Avro have put a great run together. Staley Bridge up today were in really good form, and Linux have been in good form, and they're starting to threaten, but there's still a bit of a gap, and I just can't see the sides in the top 5 faltering. Look at Vauxhall. I think it's between Widnes and Hendersford to win it. I think at the end you look at Vauxhall, Chasetown and Congleton, and I don't see them dropping many points between now and the end of the season. So I think the top 5's done. I think you've got a little cluster of teams who probably can relax, who are pretty comfortable in the top half. Trafford are in that bunch as well. And then you've got probably anybody in the bottom half who's still a bit nervy.
Yeah.
And it is because there's no, the sides are City Liverpool aside who are already relegated. I don't think there's a side in this year who you would go to and think will definitely get something from that. For all that I think we should have been better today, for all that I think we should be winning games like today at home. Andy Keogh, Ali Brown, loads of experience, bags of experience. I thought the 2 midfielders, I thought they were good in midfield. I thought they were better than us in midfield today. I thought the 2 lads who played in there with Keogh ran well, carried the ball well. I thought Darren Mason was a real handful. Conor Morris, who we've had here, runs the channel as well. So they're not mug teams, and you've got to look after your own business because you can't rely on other teams to do it for you. But it does. This year has been tight as it's ever been. And it ain't going to be an easier league next season. It really isn't. If I look, Bury will come up. West Didsbury or Rami will probably be my guess. I think they'll be good. They'll be good. Whichever 2 of those 3 come up. If it is 2 of those 3, could be Lower Breck, a horrible place to go, and a side who know to win games.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get any easier, and that's going to be a big ask for next season, but we need to make sure we look after ourselves and stay safe this season, so that we're in there to compete.
And aside from the disappointment of today, was some positive news this week in terms of announcing Alex as your successor for the end of the season. Any thoughts on that one?
I'm genuinely delighted for him. So it's something we talked about for a long time, succession planning, and you know, it was always probably another season or so away when we were talking about that. I accelerated my decision to move on, but I was confident Alex was ready, and that was my recommendation to the board. And I'm delighted the board have kind of followed up on that recommendation and appointed him. I think he's ready. I think he's more than ready. He's passionate. He's hungry. He's enthusiastic. He's a great coach. He understands the club. He understands the players. The fans know him and like him. So he's everything's made up to kind of have continuity, and yeah, Alex is very different from me. Hugely different bloke. So there'll be some continuity, but there's definitely things that are different about it. I think Alex has got the ability to really kick the club on. You know, I've talked a lot about, I'm proud of what I've achieved, and the club's in a better place. I want nothing more than Alex to do the same, and you'll be looking back in another 5 years' time with the club firmly established, at least firmly established in that top tier of this league, and potentially more. So I think it's a brilliant appointment. I really do. I think he'll be a massive success. I think he's done the hard yards, and he deserves it.
Thanks, David.
Cheers, Nathan.